let you guys do your thing, share your passion on when it connects to football, background, experiences, all that kind of stuff, and go from there. So it'll be a lot of fun. There's Dumel. Everybody's checking in. Look at that.
All right, as everybody starts jumping in, if the attendees just want to keep their video off unless we have questions, that we can pop it over to you just so we can keep the streams going smooth. Couple things, lots of people are going to pop in the next 5-10 minutes, but if you have questions throughout the process, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll have a good 2 hours of non-contact. We'll give it a little bit of time to let some people come in, and then we'll get going probably in the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Perfect. There's Steph Patasik, 3-time All-Canadian from the Laurier Golden Hawks. Rodney, don't start.
Learn from the best. Watching Kenny's highlight tapes were
no way. See, we're going to go there. No way. We ran the options. Everybody was going this way while I was going that way. It was too easy.
Admittedly, you got a lot of man-to-man, didn't you?
Oh, a lot of man-to-man. We played Waterloo. The football team, that was actually a full credit course for them, playing on the football team. But Paul Lapolis is there. His connection between he and I are Mike O'Shea, former teammates in Hamilton. Big body, skinny legs, but boy, he was smart and could play football. There's Michelle, national champion over and over again. Robert Weir from Queens, couldn't get in the Laurier. It starts already. See, Aaron, how it's too easy.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that for the next 45 to an hour, right? Is that what it's gonna be like? Exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
So everybody's checking in.
Yeah, we'll give a couple more minutes and then we'll get her going.
Good. Good. Hope everybody is safe and well these days. Feels like a really long training camp. Instead of feeling good after day 3, you start feeling good after month 23.
I'll use this opportunity to say that please go check out the OntarioFootball.ca webpage. And in particular, in this mega clinic, myself and Brian Hemming from Burlington Minor Football have made some videos. Pretty interactive. Check out Brian's got some great flagging drills, especially in Ottawa as we switched to flag this year. Some really good flagging drills, which is just such an important fundamental of the game. I've got some quarterbacking ones, some receiving ones. So there's they're on actually the Ontario Football YouTube, but on the Mega Clinic link, you'll see a link to some videos, and go give them a try. They're great for parents, kids, and coaches.
And Brian's got some jokes too. I'll give him that. He's got some jokes, and it was pretty entertaining to watch. So that was a skill I didn't realize Brian had. Yeah, see, right, Brian? You got to.
His ears were burning.
The comedic timing right there. That's all right. So we're gonna get started as people jump in. Just want to quickly introduce myself to everybody. My name's Aaron Giesler. I'm the executive director at Ontario Football. And I'm really excited that tonight we are kicking off the Ontario Football Inaugural Mega Clinic, powered by the OUA and brought to us by Riddell Sports, with a few hours of non-contact football, talk some flags, some touch. You know, flag football is exploding in North America and across the world. And it's exciting to see the growth that it's had in the game. And it's really exciting to see where this game is going to go. There is a real possibility that 2028 could have flag football in the Olympics. So that's something for us to strive for. We're really excited to have some really awesome guests with us tonight, with CFL legend Ken Rare, Red Black head coach Paul Lapolis, head coach from McMaster Steph Patasik, and so many more. I really do want to start by saying thank you to everybody who played a part in putting this together. Specifically, I want to thank Rod Moore for really pulling this all together and putting a focus and light on non-contact. Brian Hemming for the work that he's been doing on our non-contact committee. Ryan Kublik put a lot of work into getting this mega clinic off the ground. Our support staff at Ontario Football and all the people participating today. So before I hand things over to Ken, who will be moderating the first hour, I just want to kind of quickly go over Ken's career. So Ken began his football career for the Golden Hawks, where he was named a 3-time All-Star at the OUA level and 2-time first-team All-Canadian. A lot of Golden Hawks talk, I feel like, might be for the next 45 minutes, but we'll try to keep that to a minimum. Ken went on to play 9 seasons in the CFL, where he earned an All-Star bid in 1992, as well as a Lou Heyman Trophy for the most outstanding Canadian in the Eastern Division. So we're really excited to have Ken to be able to moderate this. And Ken, I want to say thank you and hand over the reins to you.
Hey, Aaron, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, and big thanks to Rod Moore, is a guy that I can't say I played against him, but he was an opponent with the U of T Varsity Blues back in the day when he had Paul Shorten and Robbie Creefo and such a great team, and Andy McVeigh, and they put out some stats. So big thank you to Rodney Moore for including me in this project. So we're going to start off with a couple of heavyweights, and the guys who've been there and done it and continue to do that. And they're both head coaches for the respective football teams, and they have deep connections, not just to tackle football, but to all levels of football. Now, of course, is the Ottawa Red Blacks head coach, Paul Lapolis, a former coordinator and head coach in the CFL, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and Toronto. TSN personality, 2-time Grey Cup champion. But what a lot of people don't know, that he was a stud receiver at Plymouth State, which is the perfect segue to the next guy who's joining us, and that's Steph Patasik, a former Golden Hawk, 3-time All-Canadian, game breaker, heartbreaker, first-round draft pick in the CFL, Vanier Cup champion with the Mac Marauders, and presently, and now on a second tour of duty after going to UBC and a couple other states, one with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So it's good to see both Paul and Steph joining us. So thank you so much. Steph, we're going to get you to unmute your microphone now. There we go. First and foremost, the question I got to ask both of you, let's go back to 2011. Paul, would you rather swap that weekend in BC with Steph?
Not at all. Hey, you go to the Grey Cup, there's only 2 teams that ever make it, and you want one to win. And, funny story of that, like literally we practiced at the same time, and like our practice was going over or something had to happen. We literally had to miss our last 5 plays of team because Steph had to be on the field. And I'm like, the coaches were like yelling at me going, "Are you curious?" I'm like, hey, we got a time limit. Let's go. So I feel like I helped Steph a little bit with those losing those 5 reps helped him win his national championship.
All the BC Lion fans are going, yeah. Steph, that weekend, and we're going to get into touch because I know you have the background as well, but I was in Vancouver covering that game, and I was on the sidelines watching that game between Laval and Mac, which is probably the greatest college game ever played. And that says something because there's some great games being played. What was it like for you in that experience, real quick?
Well, Coach Lapolis did help me a lot. He was my receiver coach when I was a struggling Toronto Argo, and he is a receiver guru and stud, by the way. So I don't believe I scared him off the field. I'm about as scary as a butterfly, but I do appreciate his grace of getting out of our way. That 2011 ride was really special. Coach Constantine and the Laval Rouge et Or are the dominant football program in our nation. They're our Alabama, and at that no one had beaten them in a national championship game. We hadn't been since the Leafs won the Cup in 1967. The Marauders went, and so it was David and Goliath, except we smacked them in the mouth 23-0 at half. And then bled our way to 38-38 regulation tie, or sorry, 31-31 regulation tie, and we got them in double overtime, and it was a pretty classic thing. And it's our 10-year anniversary, so we're going to get to see those student athletes and coaches on campus, hopefully for a non-virtual celebration sometime soon.
I've skipped out. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
That was such a great thing. I mean, like, I watched that game in our, you know, I remember watching the game in the hotel room preparing for our game. And I remember how many players went to that, how many media across the country. I just felt the pairing with the Grey Cup was so good. And it was such a great game. It kind of just energized everybody for the Grey Cup weekend. So it was, yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Let me segue from that experience, even though I actually flew out after that Vanier Cup game. I decided to leave because I really felt Winnipeg, you guys were going to win that game in BC. But watching the schemes of CFL teams today, the Marauders 10 years ago, far more complicated and far more athletic, and reminds me of touch and flag football type of systems versus what I played, where it was balance and maybe trips. Let's talk about the athleticism, the creativity from the coordinator standpoint from both you guys, because it's really evolved. And when you watch a touch football game or a flag football game, you see a lot of similarities now.
Well, I think the big thing is you're always trying to put people in space, right? How can you get your best players in space and let them, you know, can we create this much more room for the guy to make a person miss or not, I guess, grab the flag, you know? And so that's why you've seen so many teams spread out, play with less fullbacks and everything, and try to create opportunities to put, as we always talk about, we try to put speed in space. Yeah. And then the thing that's, I think, you know, teams are trying to do is get easy completion. It's different than the game probably when I came in and when Steph played, is like people now are trying to get as many easy completions as possible behind the line of scrimmage, 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, and then go ahead and block, just so you can get the playmakers the ball in space. I think years ago it used to be there was so much less coverage. It was a lot easier, you know, it was a lot easier to just throw it up versus coverage, and you just don't see those coverages anymore.
Yeah, Steph, teams used to have like that one guy or two guys who were studs, and the other two guys, it was a significant drop off to them. But now you're seeing in a receiving core and your running back, 5, 6 guys who can all catch the ball and run and make people miss. And that essentially is the essence of flag and touch football.
Ken, you've hit it right on the head. I think in this country, the role that flag and touch can play is now we have 5 or 6 receivers on the field at a time that can make plays. And quarterback development and these skills are developed in a non-contact environment, so the wear and tear is not there. And so I think they're invaluable for us. And I do think student athletes are coming to us, especially in the defensive back, receiver, quarterback positions with more live reps. And I'm telling you, reading a zone and flag and touch, Billy Kubis, who is my quarterback, and Rodney Morris is one of the best ever. It's the same as the tackle game. You don't get hit by a 300-pound man, so you're a little braver in the pocket. But the reads and anticipating receiver,
the other side, because
that game teaches it better than anything. And I've spoke to a lot of old-time quarterbacks that wish they had the opportunity to play flag and touch from the time they were 7 all the way through. It would have made them better university players. And then our end game, I think, especially at the quarterback position, is to get Coach Lapolis in a tougher position, not to put Canadians in his depth chart at quarterback. And touching flag and getting kids playing at 5, 6 years old is the way to do it. And some of our best quarterbacks reach their full potential at 40, flinging the rock around. Rodney is a perfect example of that.
Paul, when you watch film of a potential player that you're going to sign, maybe a kid you're going to draft, what are you looking for in them? Because you're going to see the obvious ones. He's 6'1", he's 180 pounds, but because I remember I came out of Laurier and most of my routes were pretty straight, right? Pretty predictable. But Steve Goldman, I'm not sure if you remember Steve Goldman, he was the head coach that I had in Ottawa. And one of the best things he ever did was he showed me a one-on-one tape of the Eskimos. And that was Brian Kelly, Waddell Smith, Tommy Scott, with Warren Moon throwing the ball and Marco Sincar, a bunch of guys, and especially Brian Kelly, because he never ran a route straight. He was always moving guys. There's always a stem. There's always a weave. There's always something, so he can dictate terms. Are you looking for that in your receivers, in your athletes?
Well, I think what you have to kind of identify is what you want your guys to do. And, perfect example is there's sometimes guys, it'll be hard for them to translate to the next level of football because what you ask them to do in the CFL, maybe they're not going to, what they did in college, you may not do in the CFL, right? So you got to kind of figure out where that person's going to fit within your system. And, being fortunate enough to coach guys, like Mathews, Rob Bagg, Chris Getzloff, I was proud to go to the Grey Cup starting 4 out of 5 Canadians at wide receiver in 2009.
Yeah.
And, they all had different skill sets, but, what you're trying to do, at least what we always try to do is okay, obviously, can I get a guy who can make people miss in space when they catch the football, right? But the first thing is, are they in the right spot at the right time? Can they do time and space things? And are they going to, when you get the ball in their hands, break a tackle to make, either they got to do something. Either they got to be a fast guy who can get north-south and make somebody miss in space, or they can break a tackle, or they can be somebody who can possibly be a blocker. If they can do one of those 3 components and be intelligent, right, then you're like, okay, we've got an opportunity here. Now, they have to catch the football. Obviously, it all starts with that. Then you can keep continuing to grow and develop that player. And they have to have something, that's what we're going to ask some of our guys to do. Then if you get an Andy Fantos was better than any receiver I had, American, Canadian, whatever. So you just got him the football, right? He was the guy I was trusted to get the football. So I think those are the core things. They got to be able to catch, be in the right place at the right time, have some intelligence to them, all right, and either be able to break some tackles or get north-south. And avoid people with a little bit of speed, and then everything else there, you kind of build your guys from that.
Yeah, that football IQ is so important because you never want to leave your quarterback or your teammates guessing that you're not going to be in the right place at the right time, because that's when things really go south. Steph, your resume in tackle football is outstanding, but you also look at your resume in terms of your touch with the Rattlers and with Billy Kubis and all those Laurier guys who won the Vanier Cup. And then you got a chance to stay together. How valuable was that experience for you? Because I know you played in provincials and nationals, you won, but really it was an extension of the university connection that you had with all your boys, and it translates to your family as well.
Yeah, Ken, I think the big thing is those relationships and that locker room and camaraderie that you've had in those 4 years at university. You got that in the pros. But the university experience is so unique. And so that the men's leagues and getting to extend that and getting those guys for long weekends in Kingston and in Ottawa and socially, I think football is such a unique game, flag and touch included, because one guy breaks the huddle and is out in left field, they all fail. Yeah. And so you I think the relationships run deeper. I think it's such a great sport. And I think this kind of thing to grow this sport in this nation is so important, because those values and those relationships, I don't think you see them in every sport. I think they're very unique in society, and it's key to keeping those relationships. Those flag teams or those touch teams. Robbie Weir was one of our burners. We poached some guys from Kingston and other universities that could play, and I know he's on the call.
He must be so.
Wow, that's and now your family, Steph, your family all plays as well, right? Your wife has played, your kids have played.
Yeah, no, again, I think my daughter's got the best hands in the family. She looks it in. The boys are certainly flag crazy. And yeah, my wife she was in those Kingston weekends and all over the province and is a pretty good football player herself.
I know she's the toughest of them. And Paul, I want to keep you for one more question. How does flag football, touch football, but flag football translate into tackle? Should a young person play that first before, because now there's the concerns about concussions and injuries. Wait till you get physically stronger, but take that flag opportunity to really learn the game and experiment and try all kinds of different things. Be really creative.
Yeah, I'll kind of pontificate and praise flag football in a second, but let me answer your question. I do think there's a certain age where you don't need to be hitting at this point, right? So what the kids need at every level is fundamentals of football, right? And you certainly, it's a lot easier to get a 6, 7-year-old to go run around and catch a football than, I don't know how many centers are interested in getting their hand in the dirt and everything when you take them to the practice field, but everybody wants to catch a football. So I really think you don't have to be in the tackle football at an early age. You need to, let's see who can throw, who can catch the football, and let's teach those fundamentals and work on those fundamentals working with a team. And I have a little guest here. Guy Joshua waved everybody.
Hi.
Okay,
Josh
in his hair. All right, so Joshua Lapolis has been playing since he was 6 years old, right?
6, yeah.
All right, and so when Josh played flag football, I came from Manitoba, obviously, and they started a team, and the first year he had to play both ways because we only had 7 kids on the team, and then his buddies started to play, and we got a bigger team, and they had 2 great coaches. And then the next year they go 12-1, and then they win their championship. And then the following year they went 12-1 again and won their championship, had some battles. And, what I thought was awesome about it is stuff that, I hope we can bring from the Red Blacks and try to help out. Like the first game of every season was played in the Bombers Stadium, right? So basically from 6-year-old flag to 18-year-old flag, the flag football Manitoba, they had all the games played at the Bombers Stadium, starting at 9 a.m., going all the way to 5 o'clock. I thought it was outstanding, right, for people to get there and see it. And then when the championship day showed up, they played again. All the championships were played in the Bombers Stadium. So at Josh's age, they had probably 4 games going on at once with the width of the fields and everything. And for the parents to come in there and see that, and to be able to, the kids to be able to play in a stadium like that, I thought was outstanding. It was just, and I get pretty spoiled because I'm a coach, so they had our video department video Josh's game. So we had it in our football DV sports system so we could watch it. And all my players wanted to watch Josh's game and everything. But like that camaraderie was awesome. And I think that's, again, at this age, let them have fun playing football, right? Have catching, throwing, covering, playing defense, backpedaling. So I think it would be a great thing to have. And then you slowly transition to the tackle stuff, right? To figure out where you are. I just thought it was a pretty impressive thing that, hopefully, I'm sure the Red Blacks already talked about being involved in that where, let's do it down at the stadium. Let's make it a cool day for everybody to come down and see and set the groups up that way and enjoy the process of flag football. Now, a quick story before I finish is years ago, I worked for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 2004, and I was fortunate enough to be friends with Steph before that. So Steph's wife, Karen, and my girlfriend at the time, was now my wife, she came out, didn't know many people, but she actually played flag football with Karen and Steph's sister. So so our families kind of enjoyed flag football throughout the years, and we were really happy that when Football Manitoba was put in a spring league and they also had a winter league. So Josh has gone right through with that, and did a little bit last year with the Bell Warriors. And we were the Canada Knights last year because the Bell Warriors didn't go, but hopefully we get back to that soon. But I think it's a great thing, the flag football.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is that and you mentioned it, that meeting people, you connect the dots, and you remember the scores of championship games, obviously, but for the most part, a lot of the games, once you get you don't remember the score, but you remember the guys, you remember your teammates, and you remember the experiences on the field, but also off the field, and that's what makes that whole journey memorable. So
the parents, just watching the parents, and just seeing how excited they were when we were in a championship game and when we the game, it's just really cool to see the grandparents showing up to see the kids and the kids getting their pictures after. It's a pretty cool thing. And the coaches didn't really like the first day when I showed up, right? They're like, oh God, I got Coach Lapolis, the O coordinator of the Bombers.
Yeah, but you watch the game differently, right? That's the problem. You can't
they're like, he's going to be complaining about plays. And I'm like, no, I always have my little sippy cup with a little hidden beverage, and I just watched them practice.
Yes. And don't even try to find the safety every play. Just leave them alone. Just watch the game. Steph, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Great way
Thanks,
to kick
guys.
this off. Thank you so much. And I wish you both best of luck to both your teams once you get on the field and get rolling. I hope to see you do that.
Thank you.
And go from there.
Thanks, Ken. Way to go. Thank you.
No problem. And make sure you keep the family safe and well. That's Paul Lapolis and Steph Patasik. Thank you, gentlemen. Two guys who obviously have pedigree. And then we're going to go and jump now to a couple of ladies that I know very well. Let's get Michelle in here. Michelle Dumel and Lena Evrer. How did you end up with the same last name as me, Miss Lena? Do you want to tell the story now?
It's not much of a story. I mean,
You stole my brother.
I stole your brother. Yes,
Not
I
much
did.
of a story.
No,
Michelle.
no.
Okay, so let me get you guys introduced. Michelle, you're a national champion with the Ottawa Devils a bunch of times. You played down in Orlando, represent our nation. You also played, is it Mexico as well?
In Vegas.
In Vegas, which is similar to Mexico because you want to forget what happens when you leave. You're coaching with the Nepean Eagles girls program now. You got your family. I played with a lot of competitive people. I've watched you play on occasion. And I wish I had you in my huddle when I was playing for the Ottawa Rough Riders when I was some of those bad teams. We would have won more games, Michelle. And Lena, you stole my brother, but it's okay because I know you're connected to football with the Nepean Eagles. First off, tell me what you're doing with the Eagles, Lena.
Right now, I am actually the program coordinator for the Nepean Eagles, what used to be Girls Touch. And we're currently transitioning into flag football.
Okay.
But we've had a hugely successful program in Nepean. When I started with the Eagles, we were at about 5 teams, and now we're up to 14 teams. And this is just over the last few years. And so it's a huge buzz. Like the girls want to play.
Yeah.
So we're providing that platform for them.
Now, for your daughters, I know them obviously because I'm their uncle, but they're multi-sport athletes. They're great athletes, but they also have a number of successful female role models in their own family. Yourself, your sister, my sisters. So there was a bunch of examples that they can look to and say, "Hey, they're playing flag, they're playing touch, they're playing all these sports. I want to do the same thing as my aunts and my mom."
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when I think back to my football playing days, first of all, they became my family, all these football girls. Michelle and I were defense partners. I played the short center and she played the outside. And so she became my family. Your sisters, before I was married to your brother, was my family, you know. And
Did you know?
Little did I know, absolutely. And as we all grew as athletes, as a football team, we all branched off and got married and had children. And we all kept in touch and we all showed our children that this was our way of life. We showed them what football brought to us. And I remember my last game was 5 weeks after I gave birth to my youngest daughter. And that's just the way it was. And so my daughters, after I stopped playing, they lived on the football field with my husband.
Yep.
You know, that's what we did. We traveled and played football. I was done. I had a few injuries. I was laughing when Stefan said, you know, the hitting is not part of the game. I've got some scars I can show you. I remember 3 shoulder surgeries. I remember the time that I quit, I had my knee fixed and my nose fixed.
Yeah.
You know, but it was all awesome. It was what made me who I was and my kids who they are.
Let me get to
Well, Lena, you were a tough chick.
No, but
Don't come down the center. Don't come to the center.
With that said, Michelle, you played other sports before you got to football, correct?
Mostly running and track.
Okay. You're a track person, a sprinter.
Yeah.
And then you come to football and you're new to it and you obviously get bit by the football bug, but did you ever imagine becoming part of that echelon of female players who became pioneers? Because in Ottawa, there was a team way back in the day called the Ottawa BJs, and they were dominant. But then that Devil team that you're a part of,
Right.
you guys were similar to the Lendell Lightning squad that Rod Morse played for, or the
Right.
Mississauga Rattlers that Steph Patasik played for.
Right.
You were a pioneer. How did that feel? Did you know that? Were you aware of that?
I think while it's happening, was certainly not aware of it.
Yeah.
But after the fact, you kind of look back on that. Even when you asked me today, I need a little bit more information.
Yeah.
And, looking back and looking at how many championships, I've played, how many years that I've played. I had the opportunity to play with Rod even as a coach, with Lena. It's been pretty amazing, like for competitive, non-competitive type sport. It brings so much to it's enriching in a sense, right? Not only on the field, but in terms of the friendships that we make, and now being able to share that with our families and getting our kids into it. It's really quite an amazing thing.
What did you find more appealing? The track part of it, because you're on your own, you get in your lane and you go, or was it the team? What did you enjoy the most? Answer that question while I turn a light on real quick, because my studio is getting darker. Keep going.
It was an interesting transition for me. I always liked solo sports initially, but we're playing as part of a team just brought something really different. And, just being able to rely on other people as well, and not only relying on yourself is a neat experience.
So now you're coaching.
Yeah.
And Lena, you've been around the game now. Is there a realization? It happened to me when I started coaching. Did you realize that you knew much more than you thought you knew?
I think I realized I knew less. Just kidding. But no, it was a bit of a transition in terms of teaching the skills to others, and also looking at the specialties of different positions that you don't necessarily play. And then in touch, especially with younger athletes, you want them to be able to have the different skills of the different positions, right?
So where do we see flag football a year from now, 5 years from now for youth? Because you just see so many kids now looking for something, and it's the battle, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic, and my kids are Xbox. My kids are get the computer, get the iPad. It's not only about just playing football, but it's about getting out there and burning off some energy and socially connecting with friends that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's something that we really need to, that I like to emphasize with the Eagles children, is forming those friendships, right? And getting moving. And it's almost unique to have those friendships because they do a lot of friendships on the phone. They do a lot of friendships on the computer, but they don't realize, what people don't realize is that those devices don't last. They're not your forever friends, right? Yeah. Whereas Michelle, we live in the same neighborhood-ish, and every time I see her, it's like, and these are the things that we want to give to the kids is those friendships where you're like, hey, me at a different level. Yeah. It's not superficial. It's not, that's what we're trying to, really ingrain into these kids, is to let's connect personally. Let's learn how to trust your partner. Yeah. Because you do have partners, you have systems and stuff like that. And let's show and help each other get along. It's personal connection for me. That's the way why I do it. And I want them to have personal connection for a lifetime.
I think the next natural step here in Ottawa specific, touch and flag football in terms of legacy, Ed Laverty's already been inducted in the Hall of Fame, but it would only make sense that you, Michelle, and Michelle Lafleur and a couple other ladies start getting consideration for that induction into the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, because you've changed the game.
That's a lovely thought. I think there has been some recognition
Yeah.
I think it would be great to have more women be recognized for what they do in the sport of football. I think the Eagles Club, for instance, has done a really great job in getting young girls involved in the sport. And I think that's going to grow. And in terms of the future flag, I really see a place for women there. And I'm really excited to see how that's going to develop, because I think there's going to be more opportunities for those that want to bring it to a different level in terms of competition. I was able to do a few international tournaments, and I think that that's something that could evolve even more for our young ladies, and it's going to be really cool to see that happen.
Well,
I can see that too.
Michelle, better known as Smiley, thank you. Lena, for making my brother smile every day of his life since you stole him. Thank you. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
us.
Thanks, Ken.
And
Thanks all.
I'll see you, Michelle, I'll see you at Tim Hortons again soon.
Yeah.
And Lena, I might see you this weekend if the weather heats up when I come to the cottage.
I'm sure we will.
Okay, thanks, ladies.
See y'all later.
Appreciate your time. All right. Time for the Queens guy. The only reason why I have this bugaboo about Queens is when I was at Northern Secondary, grade 13 in Toronto, I got recruited by every school in Canada except for Queens. And I'm not sure why, and U of T, only because academically they knew I wasn't going to get in. So, but let's now get to Rob Weir, Queens guy, Vanier Cup champion. That was a great team, Rob, at Queens that you're a part of. And there's a great legacy of receivers there. We're going to get you to unmute your microphone now, if you could. And Grey Cup champ with the Argos. You've been coaching since 2009. Ontario U16 head coach. 2019 gold medal team. Many USA tournaments. Football is in your blood. But for a lot of us, were you a multi-sport guy?
Yeah, I was. I coach minor hockey as well, and it is amazing how specialized the kids get so early. Like if you're a goalie, that's all you do year round. So we just went with the season, similar to Andrew Mathews. You'd go. I'd play football in the fall. I played basketball in the winter, and I played rugby in the spring, and did that for all 5 years of high school. So you get that. You just took it for granted. Whereas now it's you sort of pick something at age 12 or even younger, and that's it.
Socially, you get far more a variety of experiences playing a bunch of sports. But when you start playing touch and flag, it differs. It's still very competitive, but it's a bit of a different vibe to it. And guys can crack jokes a little more often on the field in touch or flag than they would in tackle. What did the flag experience, the touch football experience, bring to you that was a little different than tackle?
It was all new to me. I played with Steph and against that Landau Lightning team for a number of years, and we had a fantastic group, and traveled around to the different tournaments, and it was you just had no idea how good we were. A lot of ex-CFL players, and we were hanging by a thread a lot of games. The systems and the experience these guys had, it was incredible. How quickly they could score and move the ball and make plays. So it was really eye-opening, and it was a ton of fun. But the skill level I thought was incredible.
I also found interesting, and you watched Rod and Paul Shorten do his thing. They really only had 2 or 3 routes, but they were able to read in different combinations that I didn't have in the CFL. For the most part, it was, where's the safety? If he's in the box mucking around, or if he's moved, it's either cover 2 or cover 0. If not, it's going to be cover 1 or 3. Pretty straightforward. But in playing flag and touch, all of a sudden guys are jumping and shifting and moving. So trying to find where you should sit down in a zone, or when to start, okay, let's go to a man route in this situation, and how am I going to stem it? I found I had to do a little more thinking in touch and flag than I did in the pros.
Yeah.
Now, the consequences, if you're wrong in the CFL getting hit, are far greater than in flag and touch, but I found it a little more complicated in touch and flag.
Yes. We had we had a playbook that was pretty encyclopedic. So I just do what Bill Kubas told me. So it was I just go from A to B and keep my mouth shut. So
How
kept it
good?
pretty
How
simple.
good? How did you compare yourself? Because you see Steph and you saw a bunch of other guys running routes, other receivers, and receivers. We all like. I'm a receiver. I've seen other receivers, but I'm a pretty good receiver. But then you see some of these guys, and you go, "Wow, they can do some stuff that I can do," but I never imagined it or being that creative.
Yeah, Steph was at a whole other level than I was. Is actually my good friend Brad Alberg's turning 50, and
Yeah.
I was saying to his wife, I remember him running a 4.33 in training camp in 1992, and I kind of haven't seen anything like that since. I mean, you guys through your careers would have seen lots of fast guys, but that was something I'll never forget. So
Yeah, Brad and I were teammates in Hamilton.
yeah,
Great guy. A lot of fun. So you're coaching now. How has that transition been? I asked Lena and I asked Michelle, did you realize that you knew as much as you actually know? And also the challenge, the Wayne Gretzky challenge, when he started coaching the NHL. A lot of stuff that Gretzky did came naturally doesn't come natural to anybody else on that bench that he coached. Did you have to be mindful of, okay, smaller steps as I coach these people?
Yeah, I think it depended on the team. Like, cause I think I was saying in the email that I've coached 04 group and 06 and 09, and
yeah.
Kids today are a lot different than when we played, and they're very collaborative, and you kind of can't get after them because you get sort of the opposite reaction that you'd want to get. So I had a really elite group of 04s, and the 06s and 09s were a little different, and you get mixed teams, and we've had a lot of girls in our teams over the years. And so I think you just have to sort of roll with what you have on your roster, because you can't handpick all these teams. You get just random kids assigned, and we've been really lucky just to get some kids that played soccer and decided to try something different. And they've got great athleticism, they understand spatial awareness, and they end up being really good football players with not a lot of reps. So it's as you know, every team is different, and these kids a lot of them are playing very competitive sports elsewhere, and they're doing it for fun. And so you just try and guide them.
No, when you started coaching football, I found the big thing for me was that what I really looked forward to wasn't the game-changing athlete that was obvious on the field. Because I know I didn't have to coach him a whole lot, because he or she would be the better athlete, or they'd had a pedigree already and they were just good. I always look forward to coaching the kids who are new, who didn't know as much. So you say, okay, when we do this, they're going to do that. So then we're going to do this. And when those three things happen, they come back to the bench and go, Coach, you're a genius. And you figured out a way to coach this kid up.
Yeah.
That's just as valuable to me as a championship as a player, even though I didn't win a whole lot. You've probably been there when you see that kid come to the bench and say, hey, Coach, you're pretty smart.
Well, Brian, Andrew, and Andrew Morton can testify. Some kid will show up that's never caught a ball in his life, and all of a sudden it'll stick to his chest, and off he goes, or off she goes down the sidelines and scores. And it's just hilarious, because the parents are screaming and jumping up and down, and the kid never thought, it was ever possible. So it really is neat to see that stuff.
Do you catch them sometimes and watch them? You go, that's a little Rob Weir right there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd wish that on them, but it's fun to see them have success for sure.
So what are you up to these days then? I know you're coaching, but we're in the midst of a global pandemic. How are you guys keeping active? What are you up to these days?
I run an institutional sales and trading desk, and I thank God that they invented Peloton, and I just try and keep up with my 14 and 16-year-olds in the gym, and it's no easy feat. So no shortage of things to do with them.
It's funny how it takes you longer to actually warm up than you actually spend time competing now, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember Matt Sundin telling me it took him longer to warm up and cool down than the total practice or game would take. And so you're right. You gotta be careful for sure. But they're very involved in football, and they have aspirations of moving into CIS and stuff. So it's, what it's like if you get any type of recruitment or any interest, it really helps you focus, and academics obviously play a big part in it. And I know Andrew Mathews' son's playing up at Western, and he was a prolific flag player. So it's interesting to hear Steph's comments and your comments about the benefits to the game of flag in terms of how it translates into tackle.
Were you a tackle guy right from the get-go, or did you play touch and flag and then got into tackle later? How did that work for you?
I don't think I played flag growing up, and I didn't play tackle until grade 9. So without sort of knowing the benefits of it, but you can, and especially in hockey, Hockey Canada is really big on small area games. And I think flag's just a small area game for tackle, and the quarterbacks, receivers, defensive backs, you just get so many reps, so many touches. You're not getting your head caved in.
Yeah.
And you can really learn a lot about the tackle game without actually having to have the helmet and shoulder pads on. So it's really neat that it gives those kids that skill development.
Do you let your quarterback call his own plays and tell everyone what to run, or do you have to call a play for him? Because I made the mistake of letting my 8-year-old quarterback, call the plays. Triple hook and go. Okay, see over there. Go over there and come back, and then go back and come back. How's that work for you?
Well, like I said, as you know, it depends on the ages. My 04s are off and running, and they've developed their own playbook, and we've got a great little system from one of those online resources from about 8 years ago, and we've had the same play bands for a decade, and they seem to work. So we're gonna let them run with it.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go.
Hey, thanks, Rob. I appreciate you taking time for joining us and sharing your experiences and your connection to football. And part of the reason why I didn't go to Queens is they didn't need me. I remember I was at Laurier, and at that time, Queens had Larry Moore and Mike Shad and some football players over there that were pretty good. So they didn't need a
well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, stay safe and stay well. Okay, we're going to get to our next group now. And Matthew Morton is a multi-sport guy. And I want to get into his story, but we also have Maya Slubin joining us as well. And there she is there. Okay, so Maya, I watched you score your touchdown at St. Matt's. And it's always cool seeing an athlete score their first touchdown like that. But that was now a couple of years ago. How long ago would that have been?
That was 2019.
Okay, 2019. And listening to your mom in the video, I know it's a little embarrassing for you, but pretty exciting. Now, for those who don't know, Maya plays tackle football at St. Matt's High School, I believe, in Orleans.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But you also played some touch before then.
Yeah, I played touch with the Cumberland Panthers, and I'm now playing flag with them.
Okay, I'm going to get to you now, but I want to get to Matthew as well because he's a multi-sport guy. You can tell by the hair that he's a hockey guy, first off. But he also picked up flag football, or was it flag or touch football in Burlington, Matthew?
It's flag football.
It's flag football. So let's get to your hockey here. You've committed to Harvard. So you're not just a pretty face. You got your medulla oblongata is working as real well as well. Sarnia Sting, second round draft pick. You have a 7th round pick of the Muskegon Lumberjacks, Canada U17 development camp. Blah 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 blah. Great hockey player, but your sister Emily introduces flag football. Now, be honest. Was it about the football, or is it because Emily's friends were going to be around?
I think it was a combination of both. She's made some great friends from the sport, and I really fell in love with watching their team play all the time. And whether I was in the Burlington League, or they went to nationals sometimes. And for example, they went to Halifax when I was young, so I got to watch them play. Rob Weir's team was also playing there, so I got to watch them play as well. So that's kind of how I learned the game of flag football and really wanted to try it at home.
Funny thing, one of my best friends is Richard Nurse, and his son is Darnell Nurse. And he's got his sisters, the daughter sisters are all basketball stars as well. Multi-sport, playing multi-sports is awfully important. Is that part of it for you as well?
Yes. Throughout my whole life, I've kind of played multi-sports. Yeah. That's something my parents and myself have really instilled in me, which is playing multi-sports like lacrosse, soccer, flag football in the summer instead of playing hockey 12 months around all the time. I think it's a good break to take, and really done a lot for me mentally, learning other games, and physically taking some of the harm off my body.
Outstanding. Maya?
Yeah.
Why football? Of all the sports, because I know St. Matt's has a lot of sports there. It's a great sports school. And the Cumberland Panthers in that Cumberland, Orleans area, for those who don't know, a lot of sports, a lot of youth activity going on. How did you connect with football from a touch or flag perspective? And then why tackle?
Well, I always played touch or flag. I just started after soccer. Like I was a big soccer player when I was younger. And I've always been a ski racer actually. So I just started touch and flag, and it was just always like I just play in the summer was like just pretty chill. And then I started tackle football at my school because I was actually trying out to be a cheerleader. And then I came and told my dad, and he told me, "Why don't you just join the team?" So I did.
That's outstanding. Now, what was it about it? Obviously, the competition, obviously challenging yourself, and then socially connecting with different people.
Yeah, it was really great. I think one of the reasons why I really like the tackle team is because it's this whole family unit thing. It's not just the games, and because you go to school with these people, you see them all the time, and like you become really, really close, and you do things for people that you just met like 2 weeks ago, and it's like really close. And just like the Cumberland Panthers, like, and it also provides a lot of opportunities. Like for example, like with the tackle team, I got to go to a lot of other away games, and with that, we got to go like bond as a team and running and stuff. And then with the Cumberland team, we got to do like some really awesome stuff. Like my dad, Mark Slubin, he set up for us to play at the Reblox field, which was like huge for us.
Yeah.
And for the past tackle teams at St. Matt's as well, they got to go. For us, we were really busy. We were that was a crazy season for us. So we didn't go that season, but other teams had in the past. And it's just so many new opportunities. And I think that's what's really great about it.
Matthew, I was similar to you. I was a hockey guy. I was playing Bantam May here in hockey, and we all thought we were pretty good hockey players. But then everybody kept saying, get to practice early this Friday night because there's a guy on the ice who's pretty good. And we're all like, we're all pretty good. We're playing Bantam May. We're pretty good. And we're thinking we're going to the NHL. And we get out there and watch this guy from the stands, and he had a weird last name. It started with a Y. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I think I do.
Who?
Is it Yzerman?
Stevie Yzerman. As soon as we saw him skate for about 7 minutes, that hockey team all became football players. We all quit hockey real quick and saved our parents a lot of money. What's the appeal of is football an outlet for you just to socially have some fun and maybe get away from the high pressure that is AAA competitive elite hockey?
I think a little bit. I love hockey and I love to compete, love playing at high stakes. So I got no problem with all of that. But flag football, me and my buddies, for the past 3 years, we were able to create a team thanks to Brian. He was able to put us all together, and it's really a special group. We've known each other since Tyke hockey. So it's a special bond, really, and super, super fun, super competitive, and love to win.
Wow. I want to wish you the best on all your endeavors at Harvard. You're not better than me. That's the old Boston thing, right? You're not better than me. Enjoy the journey. And,
thank you.
Be careful. If you're in student quad playing football with your buddies, you might get recruited to play for that football team because Harvard isn't a very good football team. Good hockey team, not such a great football team. So good luck on all your endeavors. Maya, thank you for joining us. Should we share the link? Should I get them to share the link if you score on your first touchdown just so we can hear your mom going crazy?
Whatever you want to do.
You're probably tired of hearing about it and seeing it, but good luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
You're still playing football of some sort?
Yeah, I am. I'm starting next week for the flag program.
Outstanding. Well, good luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so that's group number 4, and now we're going to get to group number 5. And we saved that. It's not that we didn't go from the heavyweights down. They're all just quality people across the board. Our next guest, we're going to go with Lisa Brown because she has the best hair in the entire group. Where's Lisa? There
that's so good.
There you go. There you go. And we're going to get Hillary Wilson as well. And I think Isabel's going to join us too. There they are. Hillary, Isabel, and Lisa. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. Hillary, can you unmute your mic? There you go.
Yep.
How are you
Good.
guys doing? How you doing, ladies?
Great.
So let's go through your bios real quick. Just real quick to your bios. Isabel, flag and touch since 98 to 2018. You're coaching 7 and 8 year old girls. Is that
grade 7 and 8?
grade 7 and 8? Okay. For 10 years. You coached the last 5 years with the Canada Knights. And you're also a teacher.
Yep, that's right. And I teach grade 6 and grade 7. I'm the grade 7 gym teacher, which is lots of fun.
How's the virtual learning going for you?
It depends on the day, depends who shows up. It's really weird teaching to icons and not faces.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, Burlington Minor football, right? Coached for 20 years at elementary school. So you started when you were 9. 3-time manager and offensive coordinator for the Ontario girls representatives at the Nationals. Your son played flag and now he's going to MAC because he couldn't get into Laurier. Is that true?
That is not true. That is not true. He was back all the way.
And you have a daughter who's playing flag and she's going to Guelph.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
And then Hillary, let's look at this. You started playing touch football for the West Carleton Wolverines. I was just out that way going to Constance Bay when it was hot a couple of days ago.
Oh, nice.
And the Waters family, my dad was fostered up to the farm of the Waters family. It's like kumbaya. We're having one of those moments. Flag football, you've played in the U16 Team Ontario. You played in championships, and you're coaching mosquito level teams for the last couple of years now. That I imagine that's the tackle teams.
Mosquito, no, it's actually was touch football, yeah, from 2018 and 2019, yeah.
Okay, let's get to this then. How did football get embedded into the bloodstream of the entire Brown family, Lisa? What's the connection to the game?
Yeah, so I actually grew up, my father was a principal and he coached a lot in the Catholic Youth Organization in Hamilton. I watched him coach these teams, and it was so great to see. My memories are, that student with Down syndrome who they let join the team, and the whole team worked together to get that student a touchdown. And so that inclusivity, watching his girls teams play at Ivor Wynne Stadium, that was ingrained in me from a young age. And then when I went off to Western, I played very I did. Yes, I did. Very recreationally and not that well, but I always loved the sport from the beginning.
And you survived the Ivor Wynne experience on that horrible turf that I was forced to play on as well.
Yeah.
The worst turf ever. Isabel, why football?
Growing up, I always tried to find my sport. Like my parents put me in ballet, which was a huge disaster, and softball. I tried soccer. I can't kick a ball. That's not even moving. Yeah. And then in high school, we asked my phys ed teacher if we could have a football team. And I thought, why not? I might as well try it. And then when they said yes, I realized, hey, I'm actually good at this sport. So I just kept playing, and I realized I had no idea of any of the rules. They just told me to run and catch something, and I could do that. And then once I tore my ACL for a second time, I thought, okay, it's time to maybe stop playing and focus more on coaching. But football's been in my life since 1998, which shows how old I am. But it'll always be a part of my life in some aspect.
Now, Hillary, how about you? What's your story? What's your connection to the great game of football?
Yeah, so I started playing. Actually, I was on the first team that West Carleton had for touch football, which was really cool. I played in elementary school in grade 6, and I kind of pulled on Andrew McCardle's ear saying, hey, like, why isn't there touch football for girls in West Carleton? So we got a team started in 2010, which was really exciting. And I played all the way till I was in first year university with West Carleton, and I loved it. Wow.
Across the board, I've noticed all three of you are coaching and really moving the game forward. Does it feel almost like it's a responsibility, or is it just part of the passion that you want to share that experience with more people? Lisa, I'll let you go first.
I think it's a little bit of both. I certainly feel that responsibility. I would love to see, my son is one of those who played flag for most of his youth, very little experience with tackle. And after a trip to the Nationals, he did very well. He was able to make the transition and now plays for Coach Patasik, who at McMaster, and plays tackle. So he was able to make that transition. But I always wanted to see my daughter, who doesn't have that same opportunity. So she did very well as well, now plays for the Guelph women's team, but doesn't have that opportunity to take that to the next level as of yet. So I feel a love for the sport, a connection to family, but also a responsibility to make sure that there's equity in the sport.
Isabel, in terms of the social connection, was that part of it for you as well that was appealing?
Oh, absolutely. There was, like I said, there was a bunch of us that got together and asked to have a team, and it wasn't just random people. It was kind of just a little core group of us. And actually my old quarterback lives on my parents' street now, and she always says hi and reminds me that I had really reliable hands, which is always a nice little boost. And I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Well, that's the ultimate compliment for a receiver, is to have reliable hands. Because if you're a receiver that can't catch, you automatically become a defensive back.
Yeah. And this was like 20 years ago, and she still remembers that. So.
Wow. Hillary, what was the social part of it for you? Because you started at a young age, and I think it almost the whole idea was it fun and then became competitive for you, or was it competitive right from the get-go? Because it wasn't too long ago, I hate to say it, but there'd be those people out there thinking, oh, girls in football, oh, that's cute, and oh, look, she's wearing a mouth guard, and oh, she's got face paint on, and almost hypocritical in some ways, and how they treated women in sport versus how they looked at men in sport. When I'd watch national champs, I watch women's games and see competitors and just go, it wasn't a female football player, it wasn't a male football player. For me, it was a football player.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't feel that at all growing up. I played from a young age, and it was kind of like the other speakers before. It was a nice sport to sample with. I played hockey and I played soccer, and the short season for touch, it was a really nice outlet to try a new sport. And then it ended up being, yeah, I'm a competitive by nature and being really fun and competing, but it was also nice because no one was cut from the team. So it was very inclusive to any skill level. So you had the people that were starting a new sport for the first time with football, or you had the hockey players, the soccer players, the ringette players also joining in. So I have really fond memories for sure.
Now there you are, Hillary. You represented. You played at national championships, and that's a long way away from, hey girls, let's play some football in school.
Yeah, it was in 2012 that we had the opportunity, and I never actually played flag back then. I was just doing playing touch, and that was kind of my first look at flag football. And I'm really excited that Ottawa is switching to flag to see how that grows. So I'm really excited to see that.
Now everything's turning blue behind me because the world's coming to an end here in Ottawa. But don't panic, everybody. I'll keep you on for a couple more minutes, then we'll let you get back to what you need to get done. Isabel, coaching. Being an athlete's one thing. Coaching is another bird altogether. How was that transition for you?
So at first I coached at my school because when I got to my school, they're like, oh, we got a football player. Oh, she can coach the girls team. So it was fun. And a couple years into it, I had a couple girls I had never taught. I teach in French. They're in the English section, and they knocked on my portable door and asked if I could teach them how to play football in grade 6 so they'd be ready for grade 7. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Why not? Let's get this started. And then the more I did little things like that for the grade 6s moving up to grade 7s, I realized these girls are really looking up to me, like as a football player, because they're not used to seeing a girl who played football. They're not used to being coached by a girl who played football. And I often say to some of my teams, I have the advantage because usually we're against teams with male coaches. Men have never played girls touch football. So sometimes I feel I have maybe a little bit of an advantage because I've actually played it with girls.
No, what's interesting is I find, and Lisa, tell me if I'm correct. If you get a male football coach, there's an automatic given that he's got some credibility, some street cred, because he's a guy who played football. I've learned that a lot of coaches I've had, or I see a lot of coaches in football, all they're doing is continuing the cycle of horrible coaching from that coach they had, the old school coach from the year before, or from their childhood, and so it's all the same coaching. Whereas you as a coach, you have to, one, earn your cred, and two, but once you get it, you know you've earned that trust. Did you find that you had to earn some credibility, and that you, as a coordinator especially, designing plays, team, we're going to do this, and if it doesn't work, they go, oh, you know what?
Yeah, I've had both coaching in the Catholic youth organization. I've had a father cross the field to give me some ideas for what I should implement. So that wasn't received very well. But on the other hand, my very first team I ever coached back 21 years ago, my quarterback was Donnie Marshall, who happened to be, he was grade 4 at the time, yeah. Greg Marshall's son, yeah. Who ended up playing in the OUA. And to Greg's credit, the entire season, I had no idea what I was doing. Greg said nothing to me but thank you. So I've had, you know, some good and some negative experiences with it.
That Marshall family has some pretty good football players in it.
They do. They do. I take all the credit.
As you should, but I was at Laurier as a Golden Hawk. I don't know how I got in academically, but I got in. I got out after 3 years, but Blake Marshall was at Western. And Rodney, I've never seen a running back run that mean my whole life. The Marshall family.
Other than Andy McVeigh, who was just
he went to UT, had a stronger academic record than I did. So Lisa, you couldn't get it. You couldn't get Laurier, so you went to Western. Isabel, what university did you go to?
I went to Carleton U and then Ottawa U for Teachers College. I just played recreationally at Carleton U though. Nothing.
Outstanding. And Hillary, where are you going to school now? Where are you matriculating?
I finished my phys ed degree at Queen's, and I'm here now still for my occupational therapy master's right now.
You're in Kingston right now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much, ladies. As I mentioned earlier, I played on some really bad football teams with the Ottawa Rough Riders. I could have used all three of you in a huddle. I really could have. But then again, maybe the reason why we're horrible is because I was in the huddle. So you just never know. But thank you so much for your time. Lisa, stay safe in Burlington. Continue doing that thing you do with your family. I wish your kids success at Guelph and at Mac. And Isabel, continue doing that thing you do. Keep coaching. We didn't get a visit from your cat. We got one earlier, but you weren't on camera.
We're trying to keep him away because he loves all the attention.
Yeah, well, that's a cat for you. My kids convinced me to get a rabbit, but nobody told me they were nocturnal. So in the middle of the night, you hear this rabbit thumping all night. It's like being in a dance club. Hillary, thank you so much. Continued luck with your studies, and have fun, stay safe.
Thank you.
So with all that said, I think we may be done with all our guests, but thank you to each and every one of them. And Rodney, can you join us real quick and say thank you as well?
Yeah, what a great crew sharing their experiences. Thank you, Ken. That's just been so good. You know, if I could say one thing, you hear all this stuff about flag and tackle, and I just want people to know that they're both part of football, and that they make it sound like you have to do one or the other. They go together like peanut butter and jam. I mean, they're just part of the same game. And you and I, Ken, we're tackle kids growing up, but we also know before we played tackle when we were growing up, we were playing non-contact on the local field. And then we played tackle, and then I played flag and touch during my tackle. And then they're the same thing to me. They're all part of football. And if you want to play one, that's great. You want to play both, that's great. It's just part of football. What was really great too, Rod, is a lot of people think that assuming that you and I are connected through tackle football during our university days. When I didn't really know you at that time, I knew you were a quarterback for U of T, and I know you had those guys who could catch the ball and run the ball and do some great stuff. Defense couldn't stop a cold, but our connection really extends from playing touch football. I have had to battle many of rares, and Ken is talking to me like my friend, but we really had to work at it because the rares and I have battled for many years, and literally through attrition, I've come to appreciate them, and very slowly they've come to appreciate me, and I am harder to appreciate, but no, it's just that community, that fun we've had over years and years, and watching you work with the kids as we've gotten to even a little close the last few years, and the flag has just been so great to be part of.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Hey, Rod, you know, I'm not the best athlete in my family. My younger brother is, but he may be the only receiver who couldn't connect with you.
You know, that was an interesting time, but I will say this.
He keeps telling me the story about you kept sending him vertical and you can never connect on a deep ball. And Lance came back to the huddle and said, Rod, I know what the problem is. And you were pretty pissed off at the time. And he looked at him and said, what? He says, I'm not as fast as you think I am. And
I think the
next practice.
I think that was in my picky days, and he ran too many hooks at 9 yards instead of 10.5, and I got pissed on that one. I've learned to be a little more mellow. But you know, the funny thing there is Lance is the greatest guy, and we've connected a whole bunch and all the other stuff, but we've had more time, and that guy's just he's the salt of the earth. He's awesome. He's
a good one. He's the only son of God on the planet that I ever met, and I'm okay with his wife Lena stealing him.
You know,
I think Aaron's gonna jump in and give away a prize.
Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah. So before I do that, first I want to say thank you so much to Ken. You know that, and thank you so much to everybody who stood in tonight and talked about their experience. You know, Ken, you made me laugh a couple times. I'm glad my camera was off and the mic was off, because that wouldn't have been so great. So, but I really appreciate that. And we, you know, this was a fantastic night. It was great seeing the diversity of the speakers and just understanding their experiences. And I mean, we talk about it all the time, and I say this all the time, football provides so much to everybody. And Ken, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight.
Hey, you're welcome. It's more than a game. And like I said earlier, at the end of the day, you likely don't remember the scores of the games, but you're going to remember the people. And that's the important thing. That's the reason why we play. So I wish everybody safe days moving forward, and that we get on the other side of this pandemic so we can get back to playing football. So stay safe, everybody. And Rodney, again, thank you for including me. I really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right. So now, before we move on, we're going to give away a prize. So first off, we want to say thank you to Riddell. We'll be offering up 2 prizes tonight. We'll be giving away 1 flag set from Riddell Sports right now to one of the individuals that are here tonight. We're going to put up, that is the prize. So it is a 50 pack of 2 flag football sets, cones, ball, and we're going to do a little spin here, see who gets this. Get this set up. And as we're doing this, I will start to do the introduction of our next presenter. So we will be moving on to the coaching clinic side of things. But before we do that, we'll see who we've got as the winner. It's going to keep spinning until it stops. So we'll be done in about 10. Oh, there we go. This is exciting, actually. Okay. So Nadia, fantastic. That is great. Goes along with the past couple of weeks of great news for Nadia. So we will send out and contact you with the flag football kit and get that to good use out into the community. And hopefully we can get some more flag in the area. So as we move on to the coaching portion, so next we have Brian Hemming. Brian has been involved with football since 1968 and has coached at many levels throughout the community. He'll be presenting tips on the defensive side of the football. Brian has been a fantastic resource for me since I've started as the executive director of Ontario football. You know, some of his experiences, he's coached since 2005, including flag, community tackle, high school. He's been a defensive backs coach. He's been the head coach at Team Ontario for the flag for the girls for 2016, 17, 18, and 19. He has an extensive background, and what I learned today is he is somewhat of a comedian. You should go check out the YouTube videos that we have on our site because they're not only educational as a football resource, but they're rather entertaining. So Brian, it is your floor.
Hi, everybody. Wave if you can hear me. Okay, that's good. So I got a couple of things to share with you on the computer here. But when it was computer training time, I was in the placebo group. So sometimes I exhibit symptoms of computer literacy, and sometimes I'm just winging it. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to hopefully pull up a video. Nope. Help me, Lynn. Need help quick. I need to pull up my video.
Where is it?
Everybody watching, right?
Brian, have you gone to sharing your screen?
What we could do, if you want, Brian, as you're working that out, we could move into Andrew if we want to do that, and then we can come back.
So Aaron, it's Andrew here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know that I checked in with Daniel. He was going to sort of run the show from his end, and I was going to give him the next slide, so we would make sure we didn't run into any technical difficulties.
Perfect, and I think he's the man in the sky, so he knows.
Okay, there he
hear
is.
you right away, so you're good to go.
Okay.
Real quick though, just so that I can get everybody kind of up to speed on you, so that you know who you are and everybody can be. So Andrew has been basically the director of player personnel for the Burlington Minor Football Association, one of the, if not the largest non-contact program deliverer in Ontario and in the country. The work that Burlington has done and Andrew has done in developing and growing the non-contact program. The majority of our Team Ontario teams have come directly out of the Burlington program. So there's been a lot of success from the flag program, and we're excited to have Andrew here to talk some offense and to walk us through some of the non-contact principles for offense.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Aaron. And I can't take credit for what Burlington Minor Football has done. It actually starts off with the man up on the screen that you just saw. Brian Hemming had played an amazing role over the years. But quickly, yeah, we are proud at the BMFA. We have about 1,200 to 1,300 athletes playing flag. If we had more coaches, we could probably move that number up to about 1,400 to 1,500 players. Any given weekend in Burlington, there's over 89 games being played, and it's quite a spectacle when you watch all of the parents come out and grandparents come out. It probably would be at any given time over 3,000 people coming through on a Saturday through our fields at Burlington. So yeah, we're very proud of the non-contact. We're also very proud to be, hopefully, Aaron, offering the hybrid. Rodney was talking about with Ken earlier about whether is it flag, is it sort of tackle. In the US, they have a program that they refer to as fusion football. It's also known as tackle bar football. And we hope with the BMFA to be the first program to be able to offer that hybrid. So very excited about our non-contact approach to the game. So I'll just go real quickly, guys. Just sort of try to connect with my audience a bit, a little bit about myself. I'm Andrew Mathews, my name. I live here in Burlington with my wife and 5 kids. And I currently sit as the Director of Player Development here for Burlington. My football experience, when Ken started the conversation an hour ago, he dropped a blast from the past. He mentioned a school called Plymouth State, which is based in New Hampshire. I actually played for a prep school down right around the corner from Plymouth State called New Hampton, a little town in New Hampshire. And that's where it started. I moved from there to play for Larry Utek at St. Mary's University in the 80s. And then I had an opportunity to play for Coach Sheehan when he was coaching at Concordia in Montreal. And in that time frame in the transfer, I had a couple of years playing in the CJFL with the Chateauguay Raiders in Montreal. So it was an incredible time in my life, and I owe a lot to the game. It's one of the reasons why I got involved in football. It's given me so much, and I felt such a compassion to have to give something back. So what I'm going to go through here at this presentation, guys, is quick slides. There are some videos that we'll quickly watch. I don't want to take up too much of the time. So Daniel, if you can hit the first slide, that would be great. Teaching players from all ages that I started both at the tyke level and right up into sort of that varsity level. One of the things I like to do is obviously get the kids familiar with catching a football. And one of the catchphrases that Coach Andrew uses all the time is, you catch a football with your eyes, not your hands. Anyone on this call absolutely knows, of course, you catch a football with your hands, but more importantly, your eyes are going to tell you where your hands have to go. So when I'm introducing the game, football is it's a funny shaped object. It's not as easy to catch as one would think. We get a lot of kids when they're young, they kind of that bread basket where their arms are attached to their torso and they kind of catch the ball into their chest. So what I try to do is I set up a drill. I take a football and I'll use a Sharpie. I'll put some numbers and letters on it. And then in a magnet here, you'll see how the drill goes. But most importantly, I'm trying to create an opportunity to make it fun. The drill you're about to see is a drill that we use in warm-up and can be used from the little guys and gals right up into the senior guys. So if we can give a quick click, Daniel, we'll get into that first drill. Hopefully this will work. Oh, I don't have any audio on it. Well, then I'll be the audio, guys. So I'm just trying to introduce what I was showing. If you notice the football, some of you might be asking, why does it look the way it looks? That's what happens when a football runs through a jugs machine. It picks up a lot of little raspberries on it. But in a second here, I'll be getting to showing the football. As you can see, has numbers and letters on the nose on both sides. And then what will happen in a second or two is we'll be giving it to the athletes. They'll be throwing the ball back and forth. They're about 5 yards apart. And what the whole aspect of the drill is to make sure that the athletes catch the ball with extended hands. They're going to bring this ball to their face, and they're actually going to read a letter or number out to each other. And it really works well with the younger kids. Often we see these kids will shy away from a football that's thrown to them. They'll get scared. This is just a wonderful thing. The other sort of add-on here is that if you do encounter a child who's fearing the flight of the ball coming to their face, you can get down on one knee and just throw the ball up from your knee underhand to the player, and you'll see their confidence just go through the roof. They'll start catching the ball properly. Anyhow, so if we had some audio, you get a sense of what it looked like. But That would be the first drill that I do. Again, I can take a number of players and just down the line, if I'm a team of 14, I can put 7 and 7 aside, and I can run that drill for about 5 minutes. So what we'll do, Daniel, is we'll go to the next slide. I'm not sure why the audio, but maybe something in the back end you can fix. So moving on to the next slide, we call this drill, I call this down the line drill. I've tried to use this with particularly my youth players is to remove that fear factor that often comes when you're throwing a football, learning how to catch a football. Again, some of the sort of quick points is we start off slow in order to gain our confidence. And it's an awesome time for some coaching to be done with each player as they move through. Encouragement is obviously the key here. And a term that I always like to use in my football world is we're always looking for progress, not perfection. And I think this is a wonderful drill for players to work on that ability to get their skill set moving in the right direction. So if you don't mind, Daniel, we'll try the video. And again, if it doesn't work audio-wise, I'll do my best to describe it. Oh, we did a dry run, folks, and it did work pretty good in the dry run. Anyhow, so again, we're just talking about catching the ball out in front of us. In a minute here, you'll see how the drill I'm showing right now is how a child will move his body to the side to avoid that ball, perhaps thinking it's going to come and hit them in the chest. Focus coming down that line. Keep your eyes on that line. Look for the football and keep that ball in. So I think we've still got some bad audio. But here we're sort of getting into the drill now. Again, working here with a bunch of athletes, coming down, catching the ball. Same principle, they're calling out letters and numbers. And then I think in the next, I asked the players to, this is a brand new to football, that gentleman right there. Now I'm asking them to show you how it would look if it was done incorrectly, where they'd move to the side. So again, they come out, ball come, and they move out to that side and catch it. Move their body out of the way, pick it up. So again, just working on this drill down the line, getting them comfortable with it. You can see this young man right here, he just stopped completely, stopped his feet, caught the ball and moved to the side. So it's, again, just a drill that I use, again, getting that young athlete comfortable with catching the ball on the move. And it's a great drill that you can just run every practice. You don't need much. So if we want, we could head to the next slide. Again, I try to make a lot of encouragement, a lot of positive feedback. Stop the drift. So this is one where I'm starting to move my players up a level as they get more comfortable with football. One of the problems we have with younger players to the game, I'm sure I can see Andrew Miller up here, who's an OC with us at BMFA. I can also see Rob Weir, where I've coached against many times. We all know that a lot of our younger athletes tend to leave the line of scrimmage, always looking back at their quarterback as they run their route, and they cause that drift. They actually drift off that route, making it more difficult for the quarterback to hit them, and it actually works in the favor of the defender. So what I do in this drill is I just take out a bunch of cones to sort of simulate a speed out, and I'm asking my players to run the route with their head down, get through their route, and then once they hit the flat part of hitting the flats, I'm asking them to snap their head around to sort of run the route. So if we can hit the video, again, you'll sort of see what happens when the player drifts. Again, Lost the video here, which is unfortunate, but hey, things happen, got to improvise. So I've just set up on the field here. I got a couple of cones just to give markers of a speed out. And then our player here will give you an example of how he looks from the snap at the ball, and then he'll end up drifting off his route. So again, a little choppy there, but you can sort of see where that look was, and then in the drift. And this is what it would look like correctly, but unfortunately, with the choppiness of the video, it might come in sort of little clips. As my kids say, it's lagging. So come through, snap, and then sort of keep that turn up field. Okay, so we won't go through all the players because we've lost it all, but gives you an idea of that line that we're looking for. Term I use, I call it scraping. I want them to scrape back to the ball. I don't want them to drift off the ball. And if you watch Carlo, who is this next player who's new to football, you'll watch he drifts right off. You can see he drifted off that line as he came through. So let's go to the next slide, Daniel. Okay, a couple more here. This is a skill that I use, I call tracking. Again, it reinforces what I said in the first drills, where you catch a football with your eyes. A lot of the programs in the US do this drill. A lot of the kids that, when I'm with them, they get kind of, oh, coach, you have to do this silly drill again. But it really has a skill set to it that reinforces the play of the eyes. I put the importance of the eyes in the catch as a 70-30 weight. We've seen it all along. When you get a Sports Illustrated a cover shot of a football player, it always typically is a receiver, and you see the hands and the white of his eyes on the ball. This is what we're just trying to do. It forces the players to make adjustments. They connect the flight of the ball. Eyes are going to register to their brain, which then is going to send a message to their body on how to adjust. So in this video, which you can go ahead and play now, Daniel, is again one that I just use. Very simple. You just need a football. Nope, that would be a kid's highlight. So no, that's not it either. I know that the videos that we did were on the kids' YouTube channel. Anyhow, this is a simple one. I'll do my best to describe it. You'd have standing behind the player. The player would run a straight line, a little jog. I would then throw the ball up behind his back in the air. I'd ask the player to tilt his head into the air so that he would get both his a vertical and a peripheral view. And as that ball would come into sight, he would have to adjust his body to catch the ball. Real simple drill to use, and again, reinforces the need to track that ball with your eyes. And if we go to the last slide, Daniel, we should then go to what I call the stem and stack. And as my players get older, really big on this one is the stemming and stacking of running routes is absolutely imperative to get into your defender's body. You're stemming them, and then we're trying to get this defender to open up his hips, and then we're going to stack them and see if we can get vertical and finish running our route. So let's see if this one works. Now I am using some stuff here, folks, that you wouldn't find in your coach's bag. I know Brian's going to be talking about the fundamentals of a coaching bag, but the drill can be done with players or with cones. And what we're just trying to do is simulate the stem and stack footwork that's required. We want to see a hard step into the defender. We want to see a move that's made. We want to try and open up our defender's hip, and then we want to stack back on, which is represented by that white line. So I think I do a job here as we come in as tight as we possibly can to our defender, make our move, get him to go one way. Now he's got to turn, open up his hips. Now I'm shoulder to shoulder, and I'm pushing vertical back onto stack, which is that white line. And then again, I just have another D-man here to do the same thing. Again, try to open up the hip, push vertical, and then in the drill, I would actually throw the ball once they hit the last stem and stack. Just trying to get them familiar with the terminology. I know we had two coaches earlier. We had Steph Patasik and Paul Lapolis, and I'm sure these are things that are very important as they move through their level of football, that these are things that are really important to understand and get done, particularly in this game. I use it in flag. It just sort of keeps my defenders honest, especially those that are playing some zone. When you're in zone coverage and all of a sudden you have a receiver running at you, it does change some of that psyche and how to cover that receiver in that particular case. And as my quarterbacks start to become more familiar with the concept, they are in turn able to adjust with the receiver on their routes. So that was just one that we went through real choppy. So apologize for the lagging. Come through again, pushing back vertical, poorly thrown ball by Coach Andrew, and there we go. So we'll cut it off there, Daniel. And I think I saw something come through Rodney that he would post them. Guys, I'm no super coach. I'm just a dad who loves the game, who felt that it gave me a lot of confidence and structure and prepared me for my adult life. I'm hope there's a whole bunch of people on this call who feel the same way. Our sport's been under attack of late, and I think it's good that men and women are on this call that are going to save it. And I do believe the non-contact approach is going to draw in the people. Burlington is a perfect example. There are a lot of moms and dads who love football still, with 1,500 non-contact athletes coming up to our programs. Tells me that our sport is still strong and it wants to be played. So at this point, I'll pass it back to you, Aaron, and thank you for the opportunity to briefly talk. I apologize, folks, that it didn't work out as well as we thought, but hey, that's just the way it goes.
This is the from home Zoom environment. We really appreciate it, Andrew, and we'll make sure that everybody gets the links. Couple things just to note. So I coached at the University of Ottawa wide receivers for 7 years. Those 3 drills are something that we do on an everyday basis at the university level. So, the things that, I know, Andrew, you said that you're just a coach dad, but the things that you're coaching right now with those non-contact athletes, those are the building blocks that we need to see at the university level. And, for kids to excel at any level, the fundamentals, staying, not drifting out. We don't want interceptions, and that's the exact reason why we don't want people to drift. So we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of the presentation and the link so they can go through the videos as well. And all those things are great for how we develop our players. And I just want to echo the sentiment that flag football and the growth of the sport and touch football is crucial for us to be able to keep driving what we love so much about this sport. So Brian, the table is yours.
Try and get as many mics turned off as possible when the video starts.
See that?
You're good to go.
All right, let's party. Woo!
a lion tamer and a supermodel, but when I'm not circling the globe in the International Space Station posing for GQ with one of my big cats, I'm a community flag football coach. I have been for 17 years, and I love it. As a community flag football coach, I'm presented with my equipment bag every year, and this is what's in it. Flags. We got some footballs. We got some pylons. And get a whistle. It's still in a box. I got about 40 of them. What I usually do is sign Tom Brady on the back, and then I put it on eBay, make 50 bucks. Football's unique in that football plays start on a whistle and end on a whistle. So I recommend that you do not start a drill on a whistle. If the kids get used to starting on a whistle, when the referee blows the play in, you got a receiver 15 yards down the field before the quarterback is under center, or you got a rusher in the backfield before the snap is made. So start on movement of the ball, and you can end on a whistle if you need to. So also in my bag, I have my first aid kit. That's this. And if I can't tape two of them together to fix it,
Ryan, I think you have to unmute yourself.
talk about defense. In football, you have three tools: your eyes, your hands, and your feet. That's the only three tools you have. And there are four things that everybody needs to be able to do well. A, catch a football, and number three, pull a flag. Now let's get to work. So the first thing we're going to do at practice is catch and throw. Everybody needs to look the ball in, catch it, and secure it. And then you throw it back. You're only 5 yards away. It's not hard. This is when the athletes can talk about who broke up with who, what the hot movie is, what Ariana Grande's new hairstyle is. This is when they get that out of the way. This is nice and relaxed, but I want to watch them, and I want to make sure they're doing what I ask. This is squish a bug. So the runner runs to 5 yards and plants firmly, and then backpedals, plants firmly, goes forward. So we do a zigzag all the way down, all the way back. Good idea to let them know to really, really emphasize this drill. Go. Flag pulling time. When we're pulling a flag, I want to see it done in the drills with your thumb down. It's unnatural, and that's why we practice it, but it's far more effective than this way. This is a flag belt, this is a flag. This end flops around a lot. This end is static to the player. You're shooting for right here. Clap, grab, yank. That's how you pull a flag. BC 2016, the first two teams that we played, the coach had to come to me after the game and say, you guys get beat on patterns sometimes, but you do not miss a flag. You gotta work it. Okay, let's see it done. This is the weave drill. This drill is for lateral movement and pulling a flag. Hardest part of this drill is getting the people who are running to slow down and understand The drill is for this person here. So they're going to do a bit of a weave, keeps everybody's eyes, hands, and feet in the play. Let's see how it looks. Nice job. Nice and low, thumbs down, good lateral movement. Nice job. Nice job. So this drill is called the tunnel, and it leads to more open field flagging. The receivers are going to go down there and come along, catch the football. Defenders are going to come down here and back, ready position. Now the receivers can go wherever they want. They can spin, they can juke, do what they want to do to get through here, and a lot more game-like for the defenders. Drill starts on movement of the ball.
Two Canadian MVPs right
Bust
there.
a hip drill. This drill is for recovering when a receiver is trying to lose you as the defender. Start in the ready position, backpedal, and focus on switching your hips as the QB directs you where to go. Break on the ball, make the catch, and tuck it in.
This is the oh no drill. This is for when you've been beaten. Every D-back's going to get beat. That's not the way you practice, but it's going to happen. When it happens, you need to focus on the belt of the person who beat you. You need to close the gap. You need to pull those flags before it's a touchdown. Give your D another 3 shots at doing something really good. Closing the gap, eyes on the flag belt. Close the gap, look at the belt, look at the belt, look at the belt. Nice! Specifically for the rusher, it's good to practice everybody at this drill. Your rusher goes down, that's a problem. Your rusher's having a good day, makes your defensive backs' lives really easy. If they know they only have to hold a 3 count of cover and a rusher's going to be in there, that's an easy day for a deep back. That's a lot of fun. So lots of focus. We're going to sprint from the rush back to the line of scrimmage. We're going to break down. I'm using our coach's bag. You're going to straddle that. Stay in your ready position and keep in front of the quarterback. Drill starts on movement of the ball. I just want to thank all the athletes that came out to help us with this tonight. That was a really great job. We've had one get together in a year and a half. Might be a little rusty in spots. Coach,
Just want this to go away.
if you're not having fun doing this, you're doing it wrong. This is a lot of fun. These are great kids. I've been coaching some of these kids since they were 6 and now they're 22. And lastly, only you can prevent forest fires.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay, so that's that part. I got a few slides to go through, and then I'm going to be done. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when we're doing the D-backs, I think about Steph and Coach Lapolis a lot, not specifically a lot, but all the drills we do with D-backs, that's what the university coaches, that's what the pro coaches, those are the things that we're doing. It's all your eyes, hands, and feet, and every single practice, probably 50% of the practice is spent on skills, and then 50% of the practice on systems and that kind of thing. So we're going to hit the slides in a sec here. You saw the screen?
Yep.
Can you see this thing?
You can see your screen, just don't see the presentation right now, Brian. You might need to unshare your screen and then share it again and then pick the presentation that you just opened.
Okay. Same thing, right?
There, we can see that.
Okay. Hey. So these are things that we need to know real quick. We use the word bug and bug out. That's a military term. It means your position has been given away. It's time to leave. I use LB for linebacker, DB for defensive back, R for rusher. On the offensive side, we give a letter to each receiver. So C is Charlie, Rudy is farthest to the right, Louis farthest to the left, Mike's in the middle. Spy, that's a call that we have on defense. It's an audible. So one of the linebackers will call spy. If they see a setback or a motion back, they'll call that LOS is line of scrimmage. There's the squad. Basic defense, this is what we use. Now, a lot of these are sort of rescue plays. So we found them, we rescued them, we brought them home, we gave them a foster home, and eventually we adopted them. And that's the way football works. Basic defense we have is 2 LBs short, your rusher, and 2 DBs. DBs are lined up outside of the LBs. They have deep coverage out and up. So pretty standard stuff. Your awareness is really important. Which side is the strong side of the offense. So that's how we line up. That's what we want the opponent to see every single time QB comes up to the line. That's the look we want to give them. We don't want to give anything away. So when we play Saskatchewan, and they have 2 Jolly Green Giants that play Mike and Charlie, we got to switch things around. Typically, your D-backs are a little bit faster than your LBs. These guys have the ability to bust in and shake things up, and these guys got a little more speed with the tall, deep people. So Saskatchewan puts their 2 fast, tall people in the middle. We line up exactly the same on the snap of the ball. Linebackers move to the side. DBs come to the middle and pick that up. So that's how we cover that. So the LBs then would have deep coverage on an out and up, that kind of thing. They have to be aware every play what the play is and know what their coverages are. Defensive, the DBs have dropped to the middle. Now this gets set up off of what we just did. So this is the monster. What I'm going to do is shoot a DB to the middle. But I want to show QB what looks like the previous play, that flip. So prior to the snap, I want the LBs to start edging to the sidelines, and QB is looking at this big hole opening up in the middle. I know I'm going to shoot a DB in there, and the other DB is going to drop back and take deep middle. Again, LBs will have responsibility for out and up, that kind of thing. So we're trying to call the play for the quarterback. I want quarterback to throw it right here because I'm shooting somebody in there. So we want to give QB a little look at that first. Three-man defense. So we just move people the same look to start off with. One LB goes to the middle, one LB goes out. DB shoots up into the short. Another DB takes the deep middle. It's this we don't show ahead of time. You line up your regular positions and rotate into it. Deep three, just the opposite. So 3rd and 15. This is probably where we're going to go. Everybody knows the responsibilities. They know who is beside them, who is behind them. The LB won't have any deep responsibilities, just head on a swivel, looking side to side, picking up anything in the middle. Willie Mays. So this is a fun play when I like to line up my best defender with their best receiver and let them have at it. I'm pretty sure on this play, the QB is going to be looking at Louis. So it's weak side man. That D-back on the weak side, he's got that person all day. If Louis is going to do a down and in, DB is calling bug, 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 which just means that's off. We're back into a 2-2. Anytime you say bug, it's forget what we called, go back into our basic defense. This leads to some really, really good battles. This is a fun play. For me anyways, I'm on the sideline. Double rush, I probably use this more than any other coach in the neighborhood anyways. I really like this. I like to make the quarterback throw really early. So depending on strong side, weak side, I'm going to send in the weak side know and take it from there. See what happens. You got to trust your D-backs. They know they only have a 3 count that they have to cover, so they can move into it quick. Works. Spy, this is what I was talking about when you have a running back in the backfield. One of the LBs will call spy. That's their man. They're to go in with the rusher and look after that person. If they're to get the ball in the backfield, we want to be there when they get the ball, get the flag. If that person turns into a quarterback, if the quarterback pitches it to them and they're looking to throw, usually that's okay with me because that person hasn't warmed up their eyes or their arm as a thrower. So they're probably not going to throw the best ball of the day. It's okay to let that person throw. Just want to stay in front of them. Don't let them run. They're probably back there because they're a really good running back. We don't want them to get going. The rusher will pick up QB man on man. If QB lets go of the ball. If running back goes in motion side to side, they call bug, and the other linebacker calls spy. Same thing, other side. Teams that run the football, typically, I find anyways, they don't know how to catch, or they have one crazy guy in the backfield who's really hard to get a hold of and can score a touchdown for the team. So you got 3 receivers that are sitting around all day not doing anything while this running back is getting a handoff and scoring touchdowns. So you got to recognize that you got to beat them at their own game. That's it for the slides. So I got a couple of notes. Unlike the 3 R's in elementary school, which one is an R, one is an A, one is a W, I have 4 R's. So ready. Every play, you're ready. You're in your ready position. You know what the call is. You know what your responsibilities are. ball is snapped, you read, then you react, and every practice, repeat, repeat, repeat. If you have enough players to do a defensive practice on any given day, do it. Throw everything at them. On offense, you can work timing and patterns. Even if you only got 4 people there, you can work on that stuff. When you have a full team at practice, I recommend that you work every single defense you have and let the offense throw everything that they have at you. Important to put people in the right positions. Don't set someone up to fail. Set someone up to win. Put them in a spot where they can contribute, where they can feel good about themselves. Flag football has a spot for tall kids, short kids, skinny kids, fat kids, people with disabilities. We fit them in there. There's a place, there's a happy home for all of them, up to the coach to put that young athlete in a position where they can thrive. And when you see it happen, that kid gets their first interception or first touchdown of their life. It's a magic moment. 3 F's, fundamentals. Put the fun back in fundamentals and have the kids fall in love with the game of football. I'm going to stop sharing. That's about all I got right now.
That's awesome, Brian. Thank you so much. Some of the mentors that I've had in my football career has always said, you go to a coaching clinic, you better take away one thing. Well, I took away 2 things. One, I've been flagging wrong this entire time. I didn't realize I need to get my thumb down, and maybe that shows why we lost in the CFFL regionals, but that's neither here nor there. And secondly, I love the term rescue plays because that's what football is, right? We just steal everything, and that's a great term than saying steal. So Brian, that's great. We're going to share, get the presentation so that we can hopefully share with everybody so that they can be involved. So next we have Jenna, and I instead of me doing the introduction, Brian, I think it only is fitting if you do the introduction here, because I feel like, you know what, it'll just be better for everybody. You just do the introduction.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the brightest young quarterbacks I've ever had the pleasure of working with. We've been to the Nationals 4 times, and we've come home with a medal 3 times. She's so bright, such a great student of football and probably of anything. She got a scholarship for hockey at Carleton. Truly a pleasure to work with, real smart. And so our team, we were the first girls team in Burlington in pretty much all men's league. And we did that for 2 years, just found out we really liked it. I asked them what they wanted their team name to be. They said the Wildcats. That's from High School Musical. We adopted their cheer. We became the Wildcats, the Wildcat family. Speaking of that, Zac Efron, I'm not kidding, is about 1 kilometer away right now at Mapleview Mall. He's got a trailer set up there because they're filming a movie in Burlington. Take it away, Jenna. Where are you?
Hello. I'm going to try to share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so one thing you didn't mention, Brian, is the reason I'm a quarterback, and that's because I can't run and I'm very slow. But you said that you would help me develop into a quarterback, and that's something that I still stand by. And some things aren't natural for some, but when you work with a player or a group and you have trust from both parties, good developmental habits can make that unnatural become a natural. So I'm going to go over some components of the offensive side of the field from my perspective as a quarterback, and hopefully that will provide some ways that'll help develop your offensive game. So first, working with the center. So a lot of the time, the focus on the offense is the receiver's routes and the quarterback, but there needs to be the same focus on the center, because ultimately, if the center is giving poor snaps, your play is likely to go south, especially when the snap is flying over your head. So working on the center's accuracy will definitely change the offensive game completely, and it's going to make the quarterback's game a lot easier. So work on emphasizing that a good snap starts with watching the ball into quarterback's hands. This keeps the snap on target, and this also ensures that the center understands that their first job and the most important job is to get the ball to the quarterback, and then they can worry about their route. So typically for me, I'll stand 4 to 5 yards away from the center to give myself more time and space, as you'll see in this video. And this video just emphasizes that the center will watch the ball into my hands and the play works out perfectly. So although I'm usually 5 yards away from the center, there are scenarios where I'll have to stand closer to the center for a particular play. So for a scenario where I need 1 yard to get the first down, sometimes we'll do a play, we'll call this the toss play, where the center will just take a couple steps, turn to me, and I'll toss her the ball. But for this play, I won't need to be 5 yards back, but I'll go 2 yards because I don't need that much time and space, because the play needs to be taken a lot quicker. So working with the center on their accuracy from 5 yards is great, but working at various depths is going to make the game a lot better. So what I'm getting at here is that, well, I lost my point. So when you're at various depths from the center, different angles are going to have to be used. So as you can see in the bottom, when you're 5 yards away, you're going to have to go at a lot smaller angle. And when you're closer, it's going to have to be a lot bigger angle. So the point here is that good snaps lead to successful plays. So receiving snaps. As a quarterback, getting a good snaps allows me to get me into a position to throw a lot faster. But to do that, I also need to focus on some other skills. So from my own experience, positioning your hands to fit the grips of the ball without looking down at the ball is such an important skill to focus on, because it'll allow them more time and awareness of the play. This isn't an easy skill for some, but in the process of development, it's again working on the reps, because it's all about getting comfortable with the football in your hands. It's a little skill that's going to make a big difference for the game. So emphasize in drills that keeping your head up, because football is a fast-paced game, and when the ball gets to the QB, it needs to be out of their hands in a matter of seconds. So making this a natural skill is really important. So in this clip, I'm just going to emphasize that my head up is up the entire time, and I'm able to get the ball off in just a couple seconds. So throwing on the run. Another skill to work on is throwing on the run. So this can be developed through a progression of different speeds. So walking, jogging, and running. So throwing on the run, it's an unnatural movement to our body. So again, repetition is key. So to practice, start by having the QB roll out to either side of the field and have them walk to work on the pattern and the sense of the footwork and the way their body is positioned. So walking first helps them understand the timing for throwing the ball and when the non-dominant foot begins to plant. Once understood, this can be progressed to jogging and then running into more game-like speed. So your play might not have the QB rolling out, but this is a good skill to have, because if the rusher does get to the QB does need to have some level of comfort to get away from the rusher. So offensive plays. So for us and my team, we use wristbands. So I think this is a very good thing to have, because with play cards, you can show the yards and the depths of the routes, which is really good. And it helps with developing an understanding for the formation of the play and the patterns. With these cards, you can also use having an intended receiver. So in the green, that would be my intended receiver. So some plays are designed that make some receivers open. So the green would just help me as the quarterback that's who I'm looking to first. And that will help, especially with younger kids, know that they have someone to look to first. You can also give a receiver an option. So in the yellow, you can either do a hook or hook and go. So I'll tell my receivers, if the defense is playing far back, do a hook because you're more likely to be open. But if the player's up tight on you, do a hook and go because that's going to get them off of you. So scoring plays. So develop strong plays that are going to be dependable. This is extremely important in any position of the field. So this is the play that we ran at Nationals and PEI during our bronze medal game. And this was in overtime, and we didn't use a special play. This play we will use how many times during the game, but we used it because it works and it's dependable and everyone knew it. So having a strong and dependable play is very important. Getting the ball through gaps and throwing over the defense. So against a strong defense, you might not have a wide open receiver right away, but you might have to get the quarterback to throw through tight gaps or throw over the defense. So practice drills where you might have a receiver doing it in and have a defender standing in between the quarterback and where the ball is going to go so that they can practice throwing over the defense. You also want to confuse the defense. So use crossing plays and use pump fakes as a quarterback. These sorts of things, they'll confuse the defense right up. And almost all of my plays have receivers crossing in them. And more often than not, I am using a pump fake to give my receivers more time. So these are just some of the points that I highlighted that I went over. So work with your center. The center is the first step to getting a successful play. And developing quarterbacks, to get a highly skilled QB, make their movements natural to them. In offensive plays, use wristbands with the yards and the depths, and find strong and dependable plays that are going to work. Because if that play works, you might also find yourself going home with a medal. Thank you.
Jenna, that was awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to go through that. It's crazy how important wristbands and play construction is in flag. And, I hope that in the future we can have as many medals, more of, as many gold medals as we can, the foundation that you and Brian have built with the flag program. And hopefully we can continue to grow that and to, like you said, bring home some more medals on the flag side for Ontario. So Jenna, thank you so much for being a part of tonight. And hopefully we can get you on our senior team at some point soon, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hockey won't take up too much time, right? That's.
Don't think so.
So keep in shape for football.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. We need to win a CFFL championship at some point. So, in wrapping up, want to make sure that I say thank you to all the speakers tonight. Everybody was unbelievable. Thank you to everybody who attended this great night. Thank you again to Rod and to Brian and to Ken and to everybody who worked to get tonight off the ground. Some great conversations around non-contact and how important non-contact is. So tomorrow our mega clinic continues at 5 p.m. with day 2. We actually have a Buffalo Bills nickel coach that will be presenting at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So like we talked about tonight, both non-contact and contact, everything is tied. The skills that we teach in non-contact are the same skills we teach in contact almost all the time. So I encourage everybody who's here tonight to join in tomorrow. It's mostly going to be football development. There's a lot of cool things on the docket. But before we go, a couple things. We're excited to share. NFL Canada has sent us a note that they're planning their first annual coaching clinic on Monday, June 28th. The clinic will be geared towards Canadian youth football coaches across the country. They're going to have a ton of great speakers, such as Andre Patterson from the Minnesota Vikings and Deuce Staley of the Detroit Lions. And it'll be hosted by Canada's own Kate Biernes. So we encourage everybody to follow along both our social media and NFL Canada's for more information, because that's going to be another exciting initiative that coaches can take advantage of, and here's some exciting stuff. Before we wrap up tonight, we do have one more package. As Coach Brian said, this is the coach kit that you can utilize to do all the fun, exciting things that Brian showed in his videos. So we're, one more prize from Riddell Sports that we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel here. Once Daniel has it up and going. Let's see who's the winner of the second flag kit. Warren Steves. All right. So Warren, we will make sure that we send that off your way. And once again, thank you to everybody. If just so that everybody's aware, you can check out our YouTube page. All of the videos from tonight are there to be able to go back to utilize as you get back. Hopefully we get back on the field sooner than later. And all the presentations will be accessible as well. So once again, thank you to everybody who joined us tonight and for the presenters, and have a great evening.